Dear friends, we're happy to greet here in Singapore Mr. Lэрri.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Really great to meet you this morning.
Thank you for your time. So we're happy to greet you friends here from Singapore, from the World City Summit, the world's leading urban event, which gathered more than 130 mayors and city managers from all over the world and over 1,200 participants in Singapore. Within the course of the event, the Moscow Urban Forum's delegation had a chance to share its expertise with the recognized experts within the series of session and panel discussions unified by the key topic of World City Summit: livable and sustainable cities, common challenges, shared solutions. We also had a chance to get acquainted with a number of experts and world's leading activists in urban planning. Today I'm happy to welcome Mr. Lэрri Ng, Prize Secretary of the Li Kuan Yu World City Prize, as well as the Managing Director of World City Summit.
Thank you.
The prize is a biennial international award that honors outstanding achievements and contributions to the creation of livable, vibrant and sustainable urban communities around the world. Mr. Lэрri will tell us about the prize and most fascinating city cases. Within our meeting we will be also covering some questions that we gathered from our website and Facebook page. Mr. Lэрri, please.
Thank you, Alessandra. Nice to meet you this morning, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share about the Li Kuan Yu World City Prize as well as the World City Summit. Now, first of all, I just want to introduce the prize. The Li Kuan Yu World City Prize was actually initiated as a biennial international award in 2009, and is organized by the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Singapore, the National Planning Authority, as well as the Centre for Livable Cities. The prize is named after the Singapore's first Prime Minister, Mr. Li Kuan Yu. Mr. Li was instrumental in developing Singapore into a distinctive, clean and green city in a very short span of a few decades. So under his leadership, the adoption of strategic land use, transport and environmental policies and programs have helped Singapore to develop into a livable city with a high quality of living environment in tandem with the rapid economic growth. Now, the prize honors the outstanding achievements and contributions to the creation of livable, vibrant and sustainable urban communities around the world. The prize is awarded to cities and recognizes their key leaders and organizations for displaying foresight, good governance, which is very important, and innovations in tackling the many urban challenges faced to bring about social, economic and environmental benefit in a very holistic way to their communities. Now, to facilitate the strong sharing of the best practices in urban solutions that are easily replicable across the cities, the prize will place an emphasis on practical and cost-effective solutions and ideas for the benefit of all the cities around the world. Through this prize, Singapore hopes to promote exemplary thought leadership and exchange of ideas among the cities so as to spur further innovation in the area of sustainable urban development. So the primary objective, I would say, why we have both the prize as well as the World City Summit is to create a wonderful platform for all the cities leaders, the building industrial leaders, as well as international organizations to meet, to forge networking and to learn and share from one another. Now, the prize, the Lee Kuan Yew World City Prize laureate will be presented with an award certificate, a gold medallion, and a cash prize of 300,000 Singapore dollars, fully sponsored by Keppel Corporation, which is a multinational corporation involved primarily in building of oil rigs around the world and many other services, including real estate services.
Thank you, Mr. Lэрri.
Thank you
for this explanation. Well, I think now we can proceed to the questions from our website and from our Facebook page. So the first question is, how the nominees for the Lee Kuan Yew World City Prize are selected? What are the requirements?
Good question. Yes. So the nominations for the Lee Kuan Yew World City Prize are made in two-stage process. In stage A, the first stage nomination, nominations for the prize can only be initiated by an independent third parties who are either leading academics, government officials, and heads of international organizations in the field of urban planning, housing, transport management, urban design and architecture, energy conservation, urban policy and management, or any other relevant field. The nominations are also accepted from organizations in the public or private sector, as well as the non-government organizations, the NGOs, and the academic institutions such as the universities. So, in stage B, the second stage nomination, the nominated city will be required to submit a comprehensive report that demonstrates two key aspects. First one, the city must demonstrate sustained and durable transformation at the citywide level. In other words, we are looking at the overall master plan or strategy and the vision for the city. Then the city must also demonstrate the success of this overall master plan and strategy or vision for the city through key demonstration projects, perhaps up to a maximum of 3 demonstration projects. Then the prize is reviewed through a very rigorous two-tier selection process, made up of both the prize council and the nominating committee. So the jury panels are composed of distinguished professionals and experts in the field of urban governance and planning and architecture and so on. The nominating committee will first thoroughly review all the received nominations before making a short list of possible laureates or special mentions. Now these possibilities are further reviewed with the individual merit in very detail of each of the submissions, very carefully considered. Then the prize council will then be presented with a final shortlist and recommendation for its decision. Now let me share a little bit. I'm sure most of you will want to know what are the judging criteria for the prize. So I will only talk about the key ones, all right? First, the city must demonstrate strong leadership and governance through the vision, the foresight, and the commitment to achieve the objectives of urban transformation and desired urban solution. This is absolutely key because all cities that are progressing well will have strong, good governance. The second criteria, we will look at creativity and innovation in the overall master planning, strategy and vision, and of course, the implementation approach to establish new models and benchmark. There may be many cities with lots of ideas, but the key challenge is how do they implement the ideas. The third important criteria will be we'll be looking at the good and applicable practices and ideas, and usually we would like to look at replicable ideas and practices because then they can be adopted for benefit of other cities. And last but not least, the successful implementation, taking into account the scale and sustainability of the transformation of the long-term impact on the cities.
Thank you, Mr. Lэрri. I think this is quite clear now.
Yes, thank you.
So the second question is, what do the nominees have in common? What is the key to success? I think you mentioned it a bit earlier, but still, maybe you have something to add.
Yeah, sure. Now, we all know by now that the inaugural prize in 2010 was awarded to Bilbao City, and in 2012 to New York City, and 2014 this year, the city of Suzhou in Jiangsu province in China was conferred the Li Kuan Yu World City Prize. Now, if you look across all these three cities, there are many common qualities shared by the winners. Let me just name a couple. First of all, for all three cities, they do have outstanding urban transformation over decade, 2 decades, or even more than that. Now, for example, let's mention about New York City. New York City is recognized for strategically orchestrating the remarkable transformation of New York City over the last decade or so. We all know 2001 was a traumatic point in which the city suffered a sense of loss and uncertainty. So under the mayor's visionary leadership, New York faced that adversity by defining a bold vision for its future, such that within years the city had not only recovered but had grown better than before. Now the same is applicable to the other two cities. For example, Bilbao, through a single project a year over 25 years, they have brought Bilbao was devastated in 1983 to where they are today. And in the case of Suzhou, over 20 years, they have grown from an agriculture dilapidated condition to where they are today, a livable and sustainable city. Now let me just talk another point to look at, right? A strong leadership that holds bold and visionary ideas for the city. You will know that I will be emphasizing governance, because that's really the key to the success of all the cities. So for example, the city's leaders of Suzhou, they have demonstrated leadership and commitment to develop the city guided by the good governance and structured processes. So clearly they articulated long-term visions and planning approaches, which is the vision, combined with competent leadership and strong political support, have enabled the city to tackle many urban challenges effectively, including conservation of the historic district, the Binchang district. Okay? Then, of course, thirdly, we are looking at sustained urban development through institutional processes. We know that city leaders or mayors come and go. So the important thing is there must be institutionalized process in the city, right? So for example, we all know that many of us know in Bilbao, the first thing that you know is the Guggenheim Museum. But in fact, there's a lot more behind the Guggenheim Museum. I will just cite one example.
Yes, please.
They form a very important committee called the Bilbao RIA 2000. It is an effective framework to align the government, the business and the community towards a shared vision for the city. So Bilbao RIA 2000 is a testimony to the importance of strong leadership and institutionalized processes in the key decision-making and sustained implementation. So it is important there must be institutionalized process. So whether in some cities, the mayor stays on for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Well, it's, if you look across at these three cities, the mayors, most of the mayors stayed for longer than that, a period of Mayor Inaki, about 14, 15 years. I think same New York, also a long period. But important to note that the city must continue with the institutionalized process. Now, of course, when city leaders and planners look at what's best for the cities, ultimately they are doing this for the people, the community.
First of all.
Definitely, because they are the one that we will benefit if the cities are well done. And some cities call themselves happy cities because a lot of initiatives are put across and the people are happy. And we like to see cities all around the world have happy people, you know. So that means the last point I'm looking at is that improving the quality of life of the people. So, for example, in Bilbao, the city has improved its environment and quality of the life significantly, strengthened its social cohesiveness and cultural vibrancy, and also increased its economic competitiveness. The same is applicable to both New York as well as Suzhou. So these qualities which I've just mentioned are the good learning points for all cities around the world. So basically, the 4 important tenets for the prize, they are livability, sustainability, vibrancy, and the high quality of urban life for the communities.
Thank you very much. I think this is more than clear now. So let's proceed to question number 4. What is your opinion on the possible ways of urban development for Moscow?
Wow.
Yeah, this is a relative question in terms of Moscow.
It's an interesting, but it's a very tough question for me. I would say the city leaders, the planners, and the people of Moscow would be best answering this question because they know the city of Moscow better than anyone outside Moscow. However, maybe I will just share a few points, all right? It is not quite fair for me to say too much about it because, first of all, I haven't been to Moscow. I'm looking forward to an opportunity where I can go to Moscow. Yes, then I would be able to give you more of my own opinions. But however, as with most established cities, the key challenges encountered by Moscow and other cities really is the issue of the increasing urban growth and managing resources for a sustainable future. We know, according to the United Nations report, by 2050, 70% of the world population will be living in cities or urbanized areas. Now, at that time, we're talking about 9.2 billion people in the world, of which about 7 billion will be living in cities. So all cities will be facing the same challenges. So the unprecedented urbanization of all the city is one that will cause a lot of challenges to all the cities. So most of the leaders will have to look at this. On the other hand, cities are also very contextual. Every city is different. So not the same solution can be applicable to every city because it's contextual. So the people, the planner will know what are the more challenging issues or initiatives that faced by the city. So like other cities, I think the city of Moscow should also aspire to increase the standard of livability for future generations. I think that's common. So cities then should explore solutions that tackle their challenges most efficiently. For example, Moscow must balance the need for urban integration within its center and peripheries, while ensuring that its infrastructure is able to support its growing urban populations and needs. So the basic amenities such as housing, transportation must be continually improved and adapted across the populations and urban districts to balance social equity and increase the quality of life for its citizens, while exploring local economic growth options that increases employment and income holistically. So while strong leadership, which I mentioned before, and good governance is integral to the success of all cities, including Moscow urban transformation, it is necessary for the city leaders to tackle the social challenges using customized approaches which directly impact the challenges faced by Moscow. So perhaps most important for Moscow is the collaboration with the private stakeholders during the planning process. Additionally, consulting stakeholders such as the public and the private sectors during the initial stages of new projects allow for a greater understanding of their needs and also give the stakeholders an opportunity to understand the constraints and the trade-off of development. So, like I said earlier, we all plan for our people. We don't plan for planning's sake. So I think we must always involve the community, listen to the community, because ultimately the community knows best what's best for them.
Thank you, Mr. Lэрri. I hope we'll manage with this somehow.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure. I've heard Moscow is a beautiful city. I'm really looking forward to visit Moscow.
Yes, Moscow is very beautiful and it's getting better and better every single year. So, okay, so let's proceed to question number 5. What challenges do you think are going to appear in not so distant future for megapolises? In your personal opinion, which cities are going to face them first? If we somehow try to range them.
Very interesting question, right? But as I said before, the biggest common challenges in city today is the rapid urbanization and the problems associated with it, such as inadequate infrastructure, overcrowding, increasing income gaps, and social inequalities. In addition, climate change and its associated effects will also have to be continually managed with time to sustain the standard of living and comfort that the city can provide. Every megapolis goes through a similar process of development, so there will be a new set of challenges at every stage, because cities are evolving all the time. So you need new, innovative shared solutions. But what sets cities apart is the way that they manage this development and the pressures that come with it. So different solutions by different cities, right? It's important. While cities can learn from one another, but you cannot always apply the same thing to the city. You will have to modify certain things according to the context of the city. So cities that will face these challenges first and with the most impact will be those which are not prepared to tackle these issues. All right? They are not prepared at all, so they will be the worst head on. So these challenges can only be tackled effectively with foresight and appropriate planning. Long-term comprehensive planning is key to success of a city, definitely with good governance. Most importantly, cities must continue to learn from other cities which have gone through similar experiences or are encountering similar problems. Now, Singapore, we are always learning from all cities, including Moscow. It's important to learn from one another. Education and learning is continual. All right? If a city stops learning, that's when the city will face more problems. So let me share some examples. Yokohama has been highly successful in its urban solutions towards managing waste and energy resources, which are growing global issues, and is sharing its developed technology with other cities like Da Nang in Vietnam in a field of not only eco-friendly development, but also in education, science, economic, environment, and investment. So global network and exchange of ideas continue to be effective means of reconciling urban issues.
I see, thank you very much. Let's proceed to question number 6. What is your opinion on the society and government initiatives of urban development? Which one is primary?
I wouldn't say which one is primary. I think the best solution is when both work together, an integrated solution, a shared vision, not one that is either bottom up or top down. But of course, there are many initiatives that come in, but when they share and agree on certain initiative, what's best for the city and what's best for the people. I think that is the key to the success. So effective cities are those which involve their communities and societies in urban initiatives, mobilizing and involving communities, foster community ownership, and that's key, that's very important. Instill pride and also ensure social vibrancy, which facilitate the success of urban transformations. So both the government and the community are equally important. A clear guiding vision and strong leadership from the government can only be successful with the support and involvement of the communities, right? So I think, for example, within 10 years from 2001 to 2010, Yokohama achieved a remarkable 43.2% reduction in waste generated. Despite a growing population, it's all through community involvement. They held 11,000 seminars and 3,300 awareness campaigns were conducted with the residents and private businesses for over 2 years, 2004 and 2005, to educate the residents on how to reduce and sort waste. So citizens also volunteer themselves as garbage guardians to ensure that communities' garbage are sorted out properly. And this has been possible through the joint effort of the government and communities. And one achieving KPI for Yokohama is that many cities are struggling to even sort recycled waste and non-recycled waste, maybe 2 times. But Yokohama has already implemented sorting the waste into 15 times. It's fantastic. So they can only achieve this through partnership with the communities.
Yes, this is very important when the two societies go towards each other.
It is shared vision between the leaders and the communities.
Let's proceed to question number 7. How do you see the city of the future? What has to change? What should stay?
Wow.
And is there any for the moment?
Tough questions. Alexandra, you're always giving me tough questions.
It's not me, it's the questions of our friends from websites.
Okay, a very good question. Just let me attempt to answer this. Well, I would say in summary, a city of future is one that balances social, economic, and environmental and cultural values effectively and equally for all its citizens. I think that is ideal. Cities should value the importance of education and knowledge dissemination amongst its citizens and continue to bring the people together to achieve a sustainable, livable environment through paradigm shift and effective urban transformation. So this is only possible through exploring sustainable methods of local economic growth which aspire towards social equality while balancing the need for preservation of the environment and, very importantly, historic culture and vibrancy of the city. Many of the historic buildings I lament that have been demolished as a result of urbanization. And this year we've awarded the prize to Suzhou and to highlight the importance of keeping cultural and historic buildings.
Okay, this is understood, I think. Well, let's proceed to question number 8. Which city, it's a tricky question again, which city do you see as a leader in urban development, if any? Is there a city in the world which came close to the ideal city of future?
Again, Alexandra,
it's very close
it's a tough
previous
question.
Yeah.
But I always take challenges, so let me just try to answer this. Pardon me if I do not give you a good answers. I'm only a prize secretary, so I'm trying to do my best.
Just share your opinion, please.
Sure. So in my opinion, we all know now, by now, that there have been 3 laureates for the Li Kuan Yu World City Prize so far. And each one of them has brought social, economic and environmental change in a very holistic and exemplary way thus far. Bilbao City Hall comes close to an ideal city of the future through its outstanding contribution to the creation of vibrant, livable and sustainable urban communities. City of New York, through its remarkable transformation and bold sustainable vision for the future, is also an aspiring model that offers many innovative and replicable solutions for the cities of the future. And of course this year, Suzhou too has many successfully achieved economic growth and has a better standard of living for its people. It balanced rapid urban growth and the need to protect its cultural and built heritage and cope with a large influx of migrant workers while maintaining social stabilities. There are many cities that is huge in-country migration from the rural to the city and cause a lot of challenges to the city. Suzhou for once has tackled head-on and very successfully. They give equal treatment to the migrants because the migrants are also entitled education and housing with the same right as the citizen. As such, Suzhou has been the most popular cities for the migrants. And not only that, I really admire the way they have settled the pig farmers, because in the scenic Stone Lake district, they are the farmers that have caused the deterioration of the environment. And their policy was wonderful. Within 4 months, they have resettled all the farmers. And why is that they're so successful? The policy of 3 for 1. For every one farmer household, they're given 3, they're resettled with 3 urban households. 1 for them, 1 for the family, and 1 more for income, rental. So to keep them going. And on top of that, the farmers are also engaged to look after the Stone Lake district. So at the same time, so they are really marvelous in that sense. So there are many customized solutions that each cities will have to look at. So to me, ideal city would be one that continues to learn and to make sure that all cities are livable, sustainable, and all cities that will then resolve issues and meet the dreams of the communities.
Yeah, and as a final, they will get the prize from the Li Kuan Yu.
Well, I'm sure Moscow,
measure, I think.
That's right.
Actually, the final measure.
Yes, we welcome Moscow to also submit for the prize when they are ready, anytime. And I'm sure there are many things that I am yet to learn about Moscow. Like I said, the prize is prestigious. It's been dubbed the Nobel Prize for City because it's only given at city level, and because of its prestige, we only gave to 1 city. But for the purpose of learning and sharing, we will highlight initiative from all the cities that submitted and give them special mention. These special mention cities can come back and apply for the cities in future, because we do not inform the public who are the cities that have submitted. The reason is so that to encourage them to come back again in future. So it's to encourage them to continue to improve their city and then to come back for the award.
Well, this is a challenge for all the cities, but still. Okay, so thank you for your answer. Let's proceed to question number 2, please. What do the nominees of the World Cities, the Li Kuan Yu Award, have in common? What is the key to success?
Well, good question. We know by now that the inaugural prize in 2010 was awarded to the Bilbao City Hall, and in 2012, New York City was named the prize laureate. In 2014, the city of Suzhou, Jiangsu in China was conferred the Li Kuan Yu World City Prize. So these three cities have many common qualities. Let me just share some of them. First, all three cities have outstanding urban transformation. For example, in New York, New York City is recognized for strategically orchestrating and remarkable transformation of New York City over the last decade. 2001 was a traumatic point in which the city suffered a sense of loss and uncertainty. Under the mayor's visionary leadership, New York faced the adversity by defining a bold vision for its future, such that within years, the city had not only recovered, but had grown better than before. The same can be said of the other two cities. Now, secondly, a strong leadership that holds bold and visionary ideas for the city. Good governance, very important. For example, the city leaders of Suzhou, they have demonstrated strong leadership and commitment to develop the city, guided by good governance and structured processes. Clearly, the articulated long-term vision and planning approaches, combined with the competent leadership and strong political support, have enabled the city to tackle the urban challenges effectively. My third point is that all the cities must have sustained urban development through institutionalized processes. Why is this important? City mayors come and go. Some can stay a longer period for 8 years, 10 years or more. Others could be for only one term of 2 years, 3 years or 4 years. So it's important that the cities have institutionalized processes so that they can continue the good work the cities or the previous mayors are doing, right? For example, the Bilbao Ria 2000 is an effective framework to align the government, the business and the community towards a shared vision for the city. Everyone knows Bilbao because of Guggenheim Museum, but they do not know that behind Guggenheim Museum, there's a lot of hard work. So Bilbao Ria is one example of an important committee that helps to make Bilbao what she is today. So the Bilbao Ria 2000 is actually a testimony to the importance of strong leadership and institutionalized processes in key decision making and sustained implementation. Lastly, but not the least, most important, is improving the quality of life for the people. We all plan for the people, not planning in isolation. So for example, in Bilbao, the city has improved its environment and quality of life significantly and strengthened its social cohesiveness and cultural vibrancy, and also increased its economic competitiveness. Suzhou is the same. They have done so well in different aspects: economic, environment, and social sustainability. And the difference in Suzhou with the other two is the emphasis on the preservation of the historic district. I think that's key, and we hope all the cities going forward, in the name of urbanization, they do remember to preserve their history and the historic buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Lэрri. Okay, so here is our final question, question 11. Do you plan to visit the Moscow Urban Forum in 2014? We will be happy to welcome you there, on the forum and in Moscow as well.
Yes, I mean, I read so much about Moscow, such a beautiful city, and I think the Moscow Urban Forum is doing good work, all right, to also, which is similar to the World City Summit. We are two of the platforms around the world to promote networking, learning and sharing, right? So definitely, I mean, since I'm also the managing director for the World City Summit, if there's an opportunity and you know, if you are inviting me there, definitely I would love to go and at the same time to share. And I think there's an opportunity for Moscow Urban Forum and the World City Summit to collaborate, to learn from one another, because ultimately we're doing this for the greater good of the world's citizens. It is not just for ourselves. So Moscow Forum is a biannual forum.
It's an annual forum.
It's an annual forum. So you're even more ambitious. You're an annual forum. I think usually you hold it in December. And it's in winter, cold. So I think it's a different environment. I'm sure Russia in winter, it's beautiful. I've seen some photographs. So I really look forward to visit the beautiful Moscow, and definitely if I get an invitation, I will do my best and try and make myself there, right? So like Moscow Urban Forum, the World City Summit, today is the last day. We're ending the World City Summit 2014 with very good participations. Like you said earlier on, we have more than 130 mayors and city leaders and more than 1,200 participants from all around the world for this summit. And it's gaining traction and importance, and more people are attending. So our next summit will be held from the 10th to the 14th of in July, 10 to 14 July 2016. So we welcome all the people from Russia, the city leaders from the various city, to join us in the World City Summit in 2016. Definitely, I think we can collaborate further and see how we can make these two forums the key forums for many people to learn, to share, to forge networking, and of course, ultimately to improve the life of people around the world.
Thank you, Mr. Lэрri.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations with the World City Summit, with this event. We were happy to be here in Singapore. You have a lovely city. And thank you for your time. And we're happy to welcome you this December in Moscow at the Moscow Urban Forum. It's 11th, 13th December. Thank you so much again.
We also welcome you to join us again in 2016. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with the people of Russia.
Thank you.
Thank you.